A very cold start to Super Bowl Sunday. Wind chills could drop to the single digits across parts of our area, but warming is in sight. We could see highs push into the 60s. I'll let you know when to expect that.
Plus, 4 juveniles hurt, 3 of them seriously. And Battle of the Blues round 1. We hear from players and coaches and fans ahead of one of the biggest rivalry games in basketball.
Live from WRAL News headquarters in Raleigh, your #1 source for local news. WRAL News, coverage you can count on.
Ooh, well, if you thought today was cold, get ready. We have got a colder night ahead. Thank you for joining us tonight. I'm Eric Miller. A cold weather advisory goes into effect at 11 tonight, with some parts of our area dropping all the way down to the single digits with wind chills. Meteorologist Grant Skinner is in the WRAL Severe Weather Center with more on this. Grant, a super cold start to Super Bowl Sunday, but we're warming up soon.
Yeah, very cold tomorrow morning, but thankfully we'll make it into the 50s and 60s next week, and we're looking forward to that because it's been very, very cold the past couple of weeks, and with a couple of bouts of some winter weather, we're looking forward to some drier conditions for the first half of the week and a warm up as well. Today it was very, very windy though. We were expecting gusts to reach up to 40 to 45 miles per hour this morning. Amy Wilmoth talked about that with that wind advisory in place, and that's what we saw. 40 to 45 mile per hour wind gusts. Sanford, Roxborough, Chapel Hill all seeing gusts up to 44. RDU a gust up to 41, Rocky Mount, Mount Olive up to 43 mile per hour wind gusts. So quite breezy today. That wind advisory finally expires at 7 p.m. A beautiful sunset this evening. It's clear out there. It's very pretty outside, but very, very cold. Temperatures right around freezing, wind chills in the 20s. And overnight we dropped to the single digits across much of our area with that cold weather advisory in place. We'll talk more about that Super Bowl Sunday forecast, how cold will be to start the day tomorrow, and when to reach the 60s. That's coming up.
I'm Elizabeth Holmes in the WRAL Live Center. Right now, crews are responding to 2 separate fires in Cary. We want to show you this video. This is from the first one reported around 4:47 at Daybreak Bluff Drive. You can see the intense flames coming from this home. Now, Cary Fire says that this one is now under control. Both Morrisville and Durham Fire had to help put that one out. Then just 6 minutes later, Cary Fire responded to a different fire on Shirley Drive. They said that they were not able to locate a fire, but they are still investigating a source of smoke. The good news at this point, no injuries reported, but crews are on scene at both separate scenes, still investigating.
Elizabeth, thank you. Tonight, we're learning more about a single car crash in Cary that left 4 people injured. All of them are under the age of 18. It happened on US 1 southbound at Tryon Road just before 11 o'clock last night. WRAL's Kirsten Clark joins us live there right now. Kirsten, what do you know about the condition of these juveniles?
Eric, we're near the ramp leading from US 64 to US 1 southbound. This ramp and one lane were blocked off yesterday for more than 3 hours. That's last night. At this time, Cary police tell me that everyone involved in that crash are stable. Take a look at this video from our breaking news tracker on the scene last night. You can see the car, a blue sedan, severely damaged in the front. Cary police say the car left the roadway and crashed into the tree line. All 4 juveniles were taken to the hospital, 3 of whom suffered serious injuries. Traffic cameras captured first responders on the scene as a line of cars were backed up. Police say alcohol was not a factor in this crash. We're still working to learn the cause of the crash and the ages of those 4 people involved. Live in Cary, Kirsten Clark, WRAL News.
An awful situation there. Kirsten, thank you. We have new information tonight about a deadly shooting in Cumberland County. The sheriff's office there has named the victim and announced an arrest. Deputies responded to Dwell Drive just after midnight. They found a man there, now identified as 44-year-old DeMar Johnson of Fayetteville with gunshot wounds. He died at the hospital. 32-year-old Elijah Lloyd IV of Spring Lake is in jail, charged with first-degree murder. He'll have his first appearance in courts on Monday. A new round of teacher protests in Cary. This the second month of statewide demonstrations as NC lawmakers remain deadlocked over budget plans and public school funding. WRAL's Flynn Snyder has their growing frustration.
It's what teachers say they should not have to do.
I feel like we should be heard.
But many, like Lori Limbrick Thompson, feel like they have no other choice. The educator of more than 2 decades protested with colleagues outside Cary High School. Their demands to state lawmakers: higher pay, more benefits, and increased funding.
We're making less money now than we were, say, 10 years ago when you factor in the cost of living, when you factor in our health care.
This is the second round of statewide protests as NC lawmakers remain at odds over a budget. A plan in the House would accomplish some of the teachers' requests. A Senate version would not. WRAL pressed the offices of top lawmakers in both chambers, asking if there's been any progress on a compromise. We did not hear back in time for this report. A previous statement from House Speaker Destin Hall said teachers should urge the Senate to take up the House budget or the standalone bill we passed that delivers an 8.7% raise.
If you're not attracting the best and brightest people to be teachers, you're not going to receive a good education. We really need to be funding public schools.
No new budget or more funding means growing frustration and more protests.
An organizing group, NC Teachers in Action, is vowing to hold more demonstrations like this on the 7th day of each month now through April. Flint Snyder, WRAL News in Cary.
And there's going to be much more on this. Organizers have listed 12 protest locations in Wake County for February's planned demonstrations. Well, today is, of course, the first official day of Olympic competition at the 2026 Milan Cortina Winter Games. It was an exciting day out there on the snow and ice. Team USA's women's hockey team defeated Finland 5-0. U.S. captain Hillary Knight tied the record for most career Olympics goals in team history with 14. And in the figure skating men's short program, first-time Olympian Ilya Malinin had a great performance for Team USA. He landed a backflip during his first ever Olympic skate, an unbelievable moment. It was the first one in the Olympics since 1998 and the first legal one since 1976. He came in second to Japan. The first medals of these Olympic Games have been awarded. Traditional winter sports powerhouses Sweden, Switzerland, and Norway are all taking the early lead on the board there. Medals include for cross-country skiing, ski jumping, speed skating, and alpine skiing. It's been a great start for the host nation, with Italy taking gold in the women's 3,000-meter speed skating event, as well as alpine silver and bronze in men's downhill. And tonight you can join us for a 30-minute special featuring all things Olympics. The Olympic Zone will take you inside the Winter Games with a behind-the-scenes look at the competition, medal counts, and athlete interviews. You can join me for the Olympic Zone on WRAL. It's going to be tonight at 7:30. Then stay with WRAL for primetime coverage of the competition in Milan. And coming up on Primetime in Milan, the men's short figure skating team event, men's downhill alpine skiing, the figure skating team event, free dance, and the snowboarding men's big air final. You don't want to miss any of it. It all starts right here on WRAL at 8. Well, Super Bowl 60 is tomorrow night, also on WRAL. And a Wake County teenager going to the Super Bowl, thanks to Make-A-Wish, is already having quite an adventure this weekend in San Francisco. We told you yesterday about 16-year-old James Walter, who was diagnosed with leukemia at the age of 12 and beat cancer after 3 years of treatment. Today, he and 23 other Make-A-Wish kids and their families enjoyed a special shopping event as part of their 5-day Super Bowl 60 Wish experience, all in the Bay Area. Cam Little from the Jacksonville Jaguars surprised the group and took photos and signed autographs as well. And don't forget, you can watch Super Bowl 60 on WRAL. The Seattle Seahawks versus the New England Patriots. Kickoff is scheduled for 6:30 p.m. And those sports just keep coming. The entire college basketball world stops for the Battle of the Blues. Number 4 Duke taking on number 14 UNC for the first of 2 showdowns. WRAL's Chris Lee is live from the Dean Smith Center with this preview. Chris, a heck of a game ahead.
Yeah, Eric, this game is routinely one of the most watched basketball games, period, this year. It doesn't matter the level. It doesn't matter where it's being played. People stop to watch this. Kids, other college basketball players dream about being a part of a game this big. Even NBA players want to partake and watch in this rivalry. Let's talk about the matchup for a bit. Of course, the rivalry is one of the selling points for kids to come to either school, Duke or UNC, and it's why teams usually get their top pick of players. Earlier this week, we heard from some of the players as to why the Battle of the Blues gets them so juiced up.
It's what dreams are made of. That's all I can really say is what dreams are made of. I can't wait. It's going to be an exciting environment. Obviously, coming from Charlotte, North Slim, growing up in Charlotte, North Carolina, you know, it's a big event, so I'm excited.
We haven't beat them in probably over 300, 400 days, maybe even more than that. And then even when we lost them in football this year. So it's like, for me personally, like, you got to get a win, man. I'm not going to lie.
Now, Caleb Wilson's math was just a little bit off. UNC hasn't beaten Duke in 701 days. Duke has won the last 3 in a row. We'll see what happens tonight when they tip off at 6:30. We'll talk about keys to the matchup coming up later on sports. Eric?
A lot to look forward to, Chris. Thank you. And coming up, a cosmic comeback. Astronomy Days returns to downtown Raleigh. What this stellar museum experience is so popular with kids of all ages. And also ahead, polar plunge. Why all these swimmers were braving the freezing temperatures and that awful wind chill this morning in Wake Forest. Welcome back. After 2 postponements due to winter weather, Astronomy Days has finally lifted off at the North Carolina Museum of Natural Sciences. The annual event is a celestial adventure. It explores the wonders of the universe through technology, telescopes, and engaging talks by scientists, plus plenty of hands-on activities, including the crowd favorite rocket building.
It's so much fun to go out behind the museum and to see people counting down every little bit. 3, 2, 1, blast off, and to see their rockets take off into the sky. It's so much fun, and it's great to see people engaging with science in that way here at the museum. It's all ages fun and all ages learning.
The theme of this year's Astronomy Days is Passport to the Moon. If you missed out today, the fun continues at 10 tomorrow. Well, it was certainly an excellent morning for a polar plunge, especially the polar part, and that is exactly what happened in Wake Forest.
All right, 3, 2, 1,
Well, the Wake Forest Police Department held their 2nd annual polar plunge to raise money for Special Olympics NC. Plenty of brave souls in bathing suits and some in costumes jumped into Heritage Lake Pool and splashed frantically to the other side. The water was frigid, of course, but that brutal wind packed an extra punch this year.
The wind plays a factor, especially when you're in a costume. That wind does make a difference, but it's all worth it. It's all worth it for the kids. It always is.
And then when your feet first touch the water, it's like, oh, it's so cold. And it just knocks the air out of you.
Did you worry at any point you weren't going to make it to the other end of the pool?
No, never. I saw my wife there. That's what inspired me.
It was a very chilling experience, but the warmth of the community made it worthwhile.
Everybody seemed to have a great time, and man, it was polar for sure.
Swimmers had to raise at least $75 to take the plunge, but spectators could watch from the chicken coop under heaters for only $20. Yeah, I got to say, Grant, they could have upped the price of those heaters today because brutal temperatures out there.
Yeah, very cold, and we'll be colder tomorrow morning, but when we had that cold plus the wind factored in, it just feels that much more frigid, so I can't imagine how frigid it felt hitting that water this morning. Very cold all the way through tonight and tomorrow morning. Wind chills could drop to the single digits, so feeling very chilly stepping out the door tomorrow. Now, throughout the day tomorrow, we'll have some extra clouds here and there. We had a little piece of upper-level energy that'll bring those clouds, maybe a couple of novelty flurries, but not a bunch of widespread winter weather. Not having that. And then warming temperatures next week. Highs will push into the 60s. Looking forward to much warmer temperatures. The next 12 hours, temperatures gradually drop into the low 20s, drop to the mid to upper teens by early tomorrow morning. And you'll see those wind chills also really drop into the low teens, some spots in the single digits for our wind chills. It's going to feel frigid stepping out the door tomorrow morning. Talking 17 in Raleigh tomorrow morning, 18 in Fayetteville, 13 in Roxborough, 14 in Rocky Mount. Mostly clear skies, just very, very cold. A cold weather advisory is in place for the Sandhills and the coastal plain. The reason why you're not seeing it for the entire area is there's slightly different criteria for our northern spots. The wind chill has to be just a little bit colder for our northern spots to be included in the cold weather advisory. But regardless, across the entire area, we're going to see single-digit wind chills being a possibility. So it's just going to be cold regardless, no matter where you are. Here's Futurecast wind chill. It started at 11 o'clock tonight when that advisory starts. You can see single digits in our northern spots, mainly lower teens to the south. And this particular model doesn't break us out of the low teens, but even in the low teens, it's still going to feel very, very cold for those wind chills tomorrow morning. So keep that in mind. Extra layers of coats will be needed stepping out the door. We start in the teens and 20s, but thankfully by the afternoon, we're a touch warmer, not by much, but mid to upper 30s. We'll have some extra cloud cover, maybe a couple of flurries, and I'll show that on Futurecast. By the time you're making your plans for the evening, enjoying the game, you'll want to do it inside because it's going to be quite cold, 20s and 30s across the board. Here's Futurecast. We start at 7 o'clock this evening. Clear skies. You've seen that. It's really beautiful outside right now. But then through tomorrow morning, mostly clear to start. But then later in the morning to around lunchtime, you'll see more clouds move in. And by around 2, 3 o'clock in the afternoon on Sunday, you see a couple of flurries pop in our northwestern spots. But those won't stick around very long. They quickly move out. The cold air starts to work its way back in. High pressure builds, and the clouds will clear up for late in the day tomorrow. It should be mostly clear by the time we start the Super Bowl. Now, the next weather makers, the first half of the coming week, it's this area of high pressure. And we've got the upper level high that builds above us. That's going to bring really warm temperatures into Tuesday and Wednesday, and really warm compared to what we've seen. It's been, really cold the past couple of weeks. Now we're going to make it to the 60s on Tuesday and Wednesday. Overnight lows in the 40s, so a big change. We're cold to end the week. Watching this part of the week as well. We have some colder air. Could see a rain-snow mix at times, but it's still very far away. We're going to continue to monitor that situation. But for now, cold overnight, very cold tomorrow morning, and chilly in the afternoon, mid to upper 30s.
Yeah, Grant, thank you very much. We want to get right back on over to Chris Lee again, unpacking those keys to the game. Just ahead, Chris.
Absolutely, Eric. Battle of the Blues, such a wonderful rivalry coming up next in sports. We're going to break down why 701 is the key number for the UNC Tar Heels if they want to get a win tonight. You'll find out why next in sports. Welcome to sports and welcome to the Battle of the Blues. For the 88th time in history, Duke and North Carolina take on each other as AP top 25 ranked teams. Duke is number 4 in the nation. Carolina is number 14. Duke is coming in on a 10-game winning streak while the Tar Heels have won 4 in a row. But you throw all of that out of the window in a rivalry this big. Let's talk about Duke's side of it. While the number 4 Blue Devils play differently this year and may not seem like they have the star power of last year's team, they actually have a better record through 22 games this season. They're 21-1. This team is still one of the most efficient defensive and offensive teams in the nation, just like last year. But this season, they don't have the size advantage over UNC that last year's team had. Head coach John Shire says the Heels look like an old-school UNC team this time around.
They're versatile, so they can go inside and out. But I think that just their length and their size inside is a big strength that's different. And it's kind of the way I've known them, how we've always competed against them. I mean, it's always been that way with them having big guys inside, and they have that this year for sure.
Now, one of the reasons for UNC's ascension this year is because of freshman Caleb Wilson. The 6'10" forward is almost averaging a double-double with 20 points and just under 10 rebounds per game. He's giving the Heels a new look to throw at teams this season. Now, earlier this week, he may have cracked the code for what this game may ultimately come down to.
We just have to dictate the pace of the game, and that's going to allow us to be playing at the best of our ability. They have a kind of a slower play style, like they like to walk the ball up the court and get into their offense and do exactly what they want to do. It's up to us to speed them up and make their simple plays and their execution difficult.
That's wise words from the young freshman who may have cracked the code as to what Carolina needs to do. They need to dictate the pace. Let's bring in WRAL sports investigative journalist Brian Murphy. Brian, Duke has won the last 3 games in a row versus Carolina. What do they need to do to get number 4?
Well, maybe get another lane violation on Carolina. That's how last year's game ended in the ACC tournament.
I think the big thing is control the offensive rebounds. Carolina lives on the offensive glass, and if Duke wants to play that pace, they've got to end possessions by grabbing those defensive rebounds. Carlos Boozer, Patrick Ngogba, big key to grabbing those defensive rebounds.
Yeah, and also for the Carolina side, it's been 701 days since the last time they've beaten Duke. Now, that's only less than 2 years, right? So we're not going to go too off board with this. But if they don't want to make it more than 701, what do they need to do to get the win tonight?
Well, 2 years ago, they swept the Blue Devils, and they did it by getting contributions from a third star. They got Harrison Ingram had 5 threes in the game here. Cormac Ryan went bananas in the game at Cameron. So they need a third star to step up in this game. Can't all be Caleb Wilson and Henry Visar. They need a Seth Trimble, a Jonathan Powell, Dennis Dixon. They need a third scorer to emerge.
This game tips off at 6 o'clock. We will have highlights and post-game reaction at 10 and 11 o'clock. Be sure to join us on Fox 50 and WRAL. Eric?
Absolutely. Looking forward to it, guys. Thank you so much. A great weekend to be a sports fan. Well, have a good night, everybody. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you right back here tomorrow.